welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Brendan, I am playing whatever I want today, and what I want to do is start the countdown into the November 10th ban update with a deck that I think should be banned. This is Dimir Reanimator. Over the next few days, I'm going to play Mystic Forge combo, I'm going to play standard VV Cauldron, we're going to do a whole runway into the November 10th announcement, calling out the decks that I don't think I should be allowed to play anymore, but enjoying them for one more time, one more loop around the sun, I hope. And here it is. This is the list that HJ Goddick used to make the finals of Eternal Weekend North America, where he was defeated by Mystic Forge combo, the deck I will be playing on the channel tomorrow. We all know what this is. There's not a lot to say about the deck itself. There are two AB combos in the deck. There are Entomb Reanimate, and there are Tamiyo Brainstorm. Both of these combos win the game. They both do it in dramatically different ways. They are both backed by a ton of permission. They both happen as early as turn 1, or at least you could start investing the Tamiyo or the Entomb on turn 1 and then do the thing on turn 2. Or you can just wait, take a turn off, Thoughtseize, and then on turn 2 do it all. The discussion around bans is, I think this is the deck that most obviously needs action taken against it, but nobody can really agree what action should be taken. For me, I think Tamiyo Inquisitive Student is the most bannable card in this deck, or at least the one we can ban that will impact this deck without outright killing it. I've been talking about this for months, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but Tamiyo being the one drop propping up this whole thing. Historically, if your opponent was playing Reanimator, you could do things like bring in Leyline of the Void and then mulligan to it. And then they would have to do something really dramatic like sideboard into Show and Tell to beat your Leyline of the Void, because otherwise their deck did nothing. This deck, Tamiyo just wants to be in decks with Wasteland and Brainstorm anyway. It'll win the game on its own anyway. I think Tamiyo is far more oppressive than Deathrite Shaman ever was for a 1-drop. We joke about Deathrite Shaman being a 1-mana planeswalker. Well, Tamiyo's literally a 1-mana planeswalker. Cutting this out from under the deck, there was a period of time where Reanimator was sliding down the leaderboard a little bit right after Psychic Frog got banned, because we didn't know about Tamiyo yet, because it was in the same set as Psychic Frog and Psychic Frog overshadowed it. And there was a while where people were trying stuff like Tainted Indulgence and Ledger Shredder and just really bad cards that do not win the game on their own. I don't mind Tempo Reanimator existing. I actually really like Combo Reanimator existing. I think that that is a thing that the Legacy format can handle, but I don't think it can handle it as a 10 or 12 card side thing in an otherwise 50 card tempo deck that can also win the game on its own with a different card. Entomb would be the card that puts Reanimator the farthest into the garbage if people just think that Reanimator should not be a thing you're allowed to do anymore. And in order to be a Reanimator deck, you'd have to play a critical mass of monsters, like 10 plus monsters with cards like Faithless Looting to draw and discard them naturally, and then you don't get to select exactly which monster you want. You have to keep awkward hands with Faithless Looting. There's more pinch points, like maybe you Faithless Loot away your one of Terastodon or whatever when you really need Archon of Cruelty to stabilize the board. But in Tomb, you could just pick whichever monster you want. Obviously, Entomb is the best card that could possibly exist for Reanimator. It's been banned in Legacy before. We'll just see what Wizards of the Coast wants to do. I hope they bring your Reanimator into line with other bans rather than ban the strategy outright, because I do think Entomb is a very cool card. But if they can't, just take it. I mean, if they can't figure it out, then kill Entomb. I'm not saying this card cannot be touched, but I am saying I think it is interesting. There was a list that made the top 16 of Eternal Weekend, the very same tournament that this deck is from. It was just basically Sultai Rarebinder, with just a bunch of cool cards in the Sultai colors. It had one Entomb that could Entomb 1 life from the loam, 1 Uro, or 1 Hogak. That rules. I want stuff like that to exist, but that's also, I understand that's like saying leaving Sensei's Divining Top legal because Painter plays it too, while Miracles was completely oppressive. Like, if it's got to go, it's got to go, but I don't know that it has to go yet. Some other conversations have been had about banning one or both of these particular monsters, like Atraxa and Archon between the two, just cover basically any situation. If you need board control, you get Archon. If you need a handful of cards, you get Atraxa. If you need to play around Caracas, you could get Archon. Atraxa pitches to Force of Will if it gets stuck in your hand. Like, obviously, these two do a lot. I did release a Reanimator League a little while back where these two monsters were banned, like air quotes banned. That was the challenge. Just play stock Reanimator with different payoffs. And the deck was still really good. It wasn't as good, but it was still really good. I don't think that is the solution. I also really like Atraxa being available for Natural Order and Green Sun Zenith decks. And blowing out Green Sun Zenith and Natural Order to protect Entomb sounds like a mistake. All right, if you want more thoughts on that, we have a full hour episode on the Eternal Glory podcast, but those are my thoughts about Dimir Reanimator just a few days before hopefully something is done about it. Let's just go play this deck for hopefully the last time. I'm on the draw in round number 1, and this is a hand that I'm going to keep. This is the type of hand that is the reason I didn't play Dimir Reanimator or didn't make it my main deck for serious tournaments. If I were playing Dimir Tempo, this hand is basically the nuts. However, Dimir Reanimator is trying to assemble an A plus B, and I have an A but no B. But I do have the A that functions on its own. Like, the one of the things about this deck that's really good is the A plus Bs, the Entomb plus Reanimate and the Tamiyo plus Brainstorm. Tamiyo and Brainstorm are both just good cards on their own. So they're ABs that can come together, but you're happy with A or B. Reanimate is frequently okay on its own. Entomb doesn't do anything until you have a Reanimate. So you have like A plus B in a way that you have it twice, and 2.5 of those things are pretty happy to just, be cast. Okay, Broadside Bombardier with no follow-up. I can just Reanimate that and hit them with it. Now, do I want to Ponder next turn, Thoughtseize next turn? This Urza Saga is actually really interesting because it could grab a Soul Guide Lantern in the main. I think I'm going to roll my dice on just Reanimating over their face this game and keep the Ponder over the Tamiyo. If they had led on Mountain instead of Saga, I might consider Tamiyo. Basic Swamp hit. Okay, this is interesting. I could Thoughtseize them, but then Urza Saga is a lock to happen unless I draw exactly Entomb on the next turn. And I actually have to fetch Underground Sea in order to Entomb Reanimate, so I'm going to Ponder here and just hope I see Entomb. I did not find Entomb. I did find a Force and a Brainstorm. I can survive their next wave guaranteed and then move cards around some more. Okay, this might be chickening out, but I can still Reanimate their Broadside Bombardier and do stuff. Maybe I'll Force or Thoughtseize a Pyrogoyf, Reanimate that, then I'm just bigger than their Sagas anyway. And they do have to decide between casting something this turn or Saga Gaming in the deck that wants to cast something every turn. Ancient Tomb, Magus of the Moon, okie dokie. Well, they went for it. I'm not convinced I need to Thoughtseize this opponent anymore. I'm going to Brainstorm. Oh, there's Entomb. Okay. There's also Wasteland, so now we just have it all. Put back Animate Dead and Thoughtseize. And then Wasteland this Urza Saga. So it can't make a creature or get a Soul Guide Lantern. And then I can just Entomb Reanimate next turn. If they Blood Moon me, I'll just wait 2 turns, because I have my basic Swamp to do it anyway. Saga with 4 mana. They could just cast a Pyrogoyf, which would be kind of big here. Fable. All right. This opponent looks pretty dead to Archon of Cruelty, let me tell you. And I don't want to draw the Thoughtseize, so I'll Entomb in my upkeep. Archon of Cruelty. Swamp, Reanimate. Splat. Murktide follow-up now. They're not without anything going on here. The Fable is moving cards around. The Saga is generating some value, but they're way behind. They got to rip really hard. Okay. They just conceded without even looting. They didn't even want to see another card. It's like, F it. And shout out to Max Dorshin, who posted this trusty Reanimator sideboard guide on socials after Eternal Weekend. I'll be using that. I don't think these lists are exact 75s, but I should get the gist when I otherwise have not really studied this deck. Max cuts all his ponders. That bums me out, but it makes some sense. And Max's list is actually pretty different from this. There's no bitter triumphs. The removal suite is a little different, but basically there's no time to ponder. A bunch of stuff that answers permanence or goes over the top of it. Let's get it. This is certainly not it. The forest blue card I like in this matchup. I like basic lands in this matchup, but this is not enough. It's not doing anything. I think this hand would easily beat an opponent who like mulls to 5 to find Leyline of the Void or something. But this hand just is not functioning. I'm going to mulligan it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to keep this, and I think bottom Murktide Regent. Murktide or Daze. In Daze could line up into a spot where it's useful. It could also just pitch to force. Yeah, I'm going to bottom the Murktide, because if they are mulliganing to Graveyard Hate, this is the card that cares about that, as well as the other considerations, in that it's the farthest away from being useful. And I have a different Big O if I need a Big O. I'm going to keep bottom the Murktide. Opponent's down to 5 and still going. Down to 4. This is why this deck is so good and so oppressive. My opponents have to mulligan to a spot where they could interact with Entomb Reanimate if I send it. But then I get to keep hands that are just like Tamiyo, Brazen Bar, or Barrowgoyf with force backup. And there are very few decks that could beat this on 4 cards. If they turn 1 Magus of the Moon, that could mess me up for a little while. I have a lot of time to figure that out. But I have the wrong force for just generically anything. Okay, they're at 4 cards, no Leyline. Ancient Tomb. If this is Spirit Guide Magus, I'm actually just chilling. Chalice on 1. That stops my Tamiyo. How important is this Tamiyo? I could just force some negation the next thing they do while holding up Petty Theft and Daze. Yeah, alright, that's fine. I have Brazen Borrower in my hand, plus Engineered Explosives in the deck somewhere. Chrome Mox, alright, the follow-up is getting that in under consigned to memory, I guess. Wow, okay, they actually had Magus, but they're playing around something here. Pass the turn. Now I can Daze any 3-drop, which is primarily what their deck does. And I can force any non-creature spell. I am going to fetch Undercity Sewer here, unless I don't know what would have to happen for me to not fetch Undercity Sewer here. Now I can counter a Magus of the Moon. Okay, they've got a Shatter Skull, which makes my days a little worse, but I'm just looking for a land drop here. Sewer. Murktide can kick rocks. Animate Dead. Okay. Not ideal, but we're gaming. Okay, they pass the turn. Draw. Entomb. I could discard a Barrowgoyf to hand size here and then just Animate Dead it. I think that's what I'm going to do. Discard Barrowgoyf to hand size. That can cheat that forward 1 turn. My next land is now Barrowgoyf instead of Brazen Borrower. I could also, in my next land, bounce their Chalice and then Entomb, Animate Dead, and Archon. Okay, they've hit a few land drops. Is this a creature that I have to care about? Backup Chalice on 1. Okay. I didn't counter the first one. Not fighting over the second one. Land, GG. Disappointing. Okay, so here I'm going to discard Reanimate to get a sorcery into the graveyard. Their Chalices are doing the job. They had them all really low to get here. Broadside Bombardier. All right, that's not one that I can counter. And if they start throwing Chalices at me, this becomes dangerous. Like, they might just want the extra damage here. They might not value Chrome Mox anymore. They might just sit on this forever. Brazen Bar. All right. Starting to get mildly distressed. I'll discard Entomb. We just need a land, and we're so fine, though. We need a land before Broadside is lethal, basically. Okay, here's another hit. No throw. Big draws. Okay, the Chalice is adding up now. And this is usually the part of the game where The experts in the comments tell me I should have forced the Chalice, and at the time, my opponent had no cards in their hand. I have looked at 7 or 8 cards, and if any one of them was a land, the game would have ended 3 turns ago, and the game may still end as soon as I draw a land. I stand by the decision, though currently it feels kind of bad. A broadside coming in. All right, please be something I can force some negation. Oof, that's the worst it could have been. All right, well, we probably lose now. This could be 10 damage if they want it to be, and then broadside is just lethal next turn. Like, do they want to throw the Goyf or have it in play? This actually matters a lot. They left it in play. And, all right, cool. Seeing one land in 15 cards, kind of unlucky, but, you know, I could have played the game differently. I'm not going to complain about it. And now I get one where I'm on the play. Let's do it. That was also after boarding out 9 cards that lose to Chalice of the Void. Just putting that out there. On the play for game 3, another one-lander, another Barrow-Goyf setup. This one can get Tamiyo going, and it has actual force. I'm going to keep this, and I think I am going to fetch basic island here. I don't want to lose to a moon. I have double Borrower. Opponent also kept 7. Scary stuff. Tamiyo is down. This deck does play a healthy 19 lands. We're not really cheating on that. This isn't like 17 lands hoping all our pieces work together. This deck has the gear to play bigger. Chrome Mox resolves. I don't know what it would take for me to force a will of Chrome Mox, but my opponent keeping 7 is not it. Dumped a broadside. Saga. Blood Moon. Okay. I can bounce that, and this means the Saga is not going to develop any further. Okay. Another Borrower. I've got the full house of cards that are great in the matchup if I can deploy them. And I got Tamiyo ticking up. I feel much better this game than I did last game, even though the positions are comparable. Outside Bombardier. Would I rather play against this card or cards like the One Ring and Pyrogoyf? All right, I'm letting that go. It can only throw Chrome Mox on this board. You can't throw enchantments with this. If they second main pitch a Fury, then I'd have to think about something. But then they'd have no cards left in their hand. But pitching Fury here does kill Tamiyo and 7-ball me. I would probably interact with that. All right, my turn. Can we find a land? Oh my god. All right. 2 3-of-a-kinds. My favorite poker hand. Broadside's coming in. Another 2 damage. Magus of the Moon. They could throw this at Tamiyo, and then I have very little going on. They could also just 5-ball me. I can't spend Force of Will on that. They have scarier cards in their deck. Tamiyo might have to stop attacking, though. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Do you believe in miracles? Okay, I'm going to pass. And now the tempo game can start with Brazen Borrower just doing whatever it wants. It's going to be a lot harder to access a swamp now that they have the second moon. Do I think I can fool him into throwing the Magus of the Moon at Tamiyo? Probably not. All right, I'm going to let them get into combat, and I'll block Magus. Yeah, like if they throw the Chrome Mox to finish off Tamiyo, that's cool. Just 2 damage comes through. Dead. Okay, well that finishes off Tamiyo without anything else happening. Hey, do I want to start bouncing stuff? All right, I'm going to let that happen. End step. If I petty theft the Magus and the Moon, they might bounce it, or they might throw it at me. If I bounce Blood Moon, that's not available. If I bounce Broadside, it's just gone. I could also draw a card, but I think I need to answer the board right now. All right, I'm going to bounce Broadside Bombardier. All right, nothing was thrown. Undercity Sewer. It enters untapped. Not super useful at the moment. And I think I do have to force this Broadside on the way back down. Chrome Mox. Are we converting into the 4-drop game? I'm a little worried about that. Because if I know they're sitting on a Broadside, but I have to fend off something like Pyrogoyf, I don't love it. Right, they pitched Pyrogoyf to Chrome Mox. That means they have a better 4-drop in their hand than Pyrogoyf. Okay, so the Broadside comes down now. If I bounce Magus, I take 2, and they can't replay the Magus. And then I could bounce Blood Moon, fetch basic Swamp real quick on my turn. Try to navigate 1 turn with Barrogoyf. Okay, I'm going to try that. Petty Theft Magus of the Moon. It attacked for 2. Ooh, they didn't attack. I don't think they forgot. I think that was a misclick. It doesn't make sense to strategically opt out of attacking there. Because I don't think it does. I can't think of a reason for that. Right, Petty Theft, Blood Moon. This does tick up the Saga, which I don't love. I could just make my land drop pass, bounce Blood Moon on their turn. Okay, I am actually going to do that. That plays into, I guess, Pyroblast, but they're showing Pyroblast anyway. All right, let's see what they develop here. If they shove One Ring or Pyrogoyf, I have a redraw off of Clue to try to hit a blue card, but I actually need this Brazen Borrower for my plan. I hope they just like tap out for Magus of the Moon here. Second Broadside. So this is 4, 9, 11, 12 damage. That puts me to 1. If I fetch, I lose. Frustrating. Okay. What can I do with that information? I think I have to just bounce Blood Moon, fetch, hope to draw a blue card. I bounce Blood Moon, fetch Swamp, hope to draw a blue card. Because I think I lose if I do it any other way. Fetch for basic Swamp, draw any blue card, and we're dead. All right. So one-landers that got punished in not drawing your second land until turn 3 in this game and turn ever in the last one. 4, 9, 10, 11. Oh, am I at 1? And Barragoyf still doesn't beat this even if I'm at 1. 8, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm at 1 here, not 0. Because I saved this other fetch land. But if I ever crack that fetch land, I lose. I also lose to their double menace creature next turn. Well, there were ways to play this game with the cards that I have. If I could see the future, I could have won both the last game and this game. But I don't have that ability. And if you do, tell me how. Of course I will. Thanks for showing up, you fucking asshole. All right, Barragoyf does not stabilize anymore. This is the last turn of the game that it doesn't stabilize. It would have on any other turn up to this point. They have Magus of the Moon in their hand. At minimum, they can fling. This is lethal on board without even doing anything else. I don't even think I have a draw that could save me. I could draw Brainstorm and then Brainstorm into Entomb, Animate Dead, hit Archon of Cruelty right now. I guess that's what I have to do. I'll draw a card with this clue. GG. Okay, so they kept me off balance exactly long enough. A combination of having the right pieces and me not drawing a land in my deck. That was actually really interesting. I don't know if I threw that or if my decisions just didn't pay out against what they had. Yeah, if I cared about this matchup enough and thought it would still be a matchup we have to play in the future, I would think a lot about this game. But right now, I'm just going to move on. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 1. Gonna mulligan this hand that's just missing a land from being the nuts. Opponent says, hello, YouTube. Everyone say hi to Langlois. Or Langlois, depending on what language you speak, I guess. Okay, this has Entomb some interaction. I can Thoughtseize myself, put the Strax in the graveyard, but that's what Entomb does, so I don't have to do that. I'm gonna keep in bottom Atraxa. Oh, my opponent has a 61 card deck. What could that mean? I'm glad I'm on the play with Thoughtseize and Daze. Show me your secrets. I did play against someone with a 61 card deck recently that was just on some weird lands variant. Is this the Oops All Spells? Okay, it is the weird lands variant. Let's go. Hey, Endurance is the card I don't want to play against here. I will take that one. And by lands, I mean whatever this is. I don't think I'm going to Daze an Ignoble Hierarch here. I believe in the future. All right, Hierarch. Big draws. Ponder. Okay, I like Ponder. I'll cast that one. Daze Force Murktide. None of this is Reanimate, so I'm going to shuffle it. That is Reanimate. Literally Reanimate. Undercity Sewers. Do I play around Wasteland here by putting this Polluted Delta in my hand? I think I do. It seems like a card they are likely to have in their deck. And if they don't play Wasteland, I can just Entomb in the upkeep, and I know that I don't need it. The other Hierarch, they're going to attack for 2 or leave up Lightning Bolt. Attack for 2 it is. This means Daze is on. I am going to Entomb in the upkeep, now that I know I don't need the Delta. Get that Archon of Cruelty versus this creature deck. Draw another Entomb, reanimate my Archon. This is a full-ass Stone Rain, plus gets a card out of their hand. Questing Beast is gone, and I have Force now to support my Daze. Commercial District. That was their draw for turn, or else it would have been in play last turn. And they didn't find an answered Archon of Cruelty on top of the deck. Okay, we're playing against some Gruul creature deck of some kind. Decks with Questing Beasts usually have Green Sun Zenith, so some sort of Gruul or Jund Maverick is what I think is going on here. I could do a pretty big juke, just a full card juke here. What does doing everything look like? 13 cards, everything except Consign to Memory, and then that's like Entomb, Reanimate, the monsters, maybe 2 Thoughtseizes go in this package. Or 2 Force Negations, or Force Negations got to be worse than Thoughtseize versus this deck. Alright, I'm just going to fully flip here and make them respect my graveyard while I don't care about it at all. And then if they win this game, I might flip back for game 3. It's hard to say. Okay, this hand is, I think, a little wonky, but it does have Ponder and Thoughtseize. See what's going on. I'm going to take this Wasteland if it's offered. That's land pass. That's suspicious. That looks like Veil of Summer. That looks like, I don't know what that looks like, but looks like something I'm not going to just jam a spell into. Okay, now they've tapped out of Veil. I could Ponder here to try to line up my next land before they waste me. I think I should do that rather than Thoughtseizing them. Okay, there is another land with Thoughthief, Voidwalker, Brazen Borrower under it. Let's take it. Dryad Arbor. Definitely confirms it's a Green Sun Zenith deck, and that's never a card you want to just put into play from your hand. Getting 1 point through. I would like to Brainstorm here. I got a lot of cards coming up my hand I'm not really excited about. Okay, these Murktides will kick in pretty soon. Thoughthief Voidwalker doesn't block. I'm going to put back a Voidwalker and a Murktide. And I think I'm going to Thoughtseize now. If they have the Veil of Summer, they got me. But it's time to take a peek. Trying to clear the way for this Murktide. If what they're holding up is Pyroblast or some kind of Graveyard Hate, then I'm good. Endurance, Dead Gone, Lightning Bolt, Minskin Boo, Surgical. Dead Gone is my concern here. I can force Endurance, and they'd have to pitch Minskin Boo for it. Yeah, I'm just going to take Dead Gone and try to hit them with a Murktide. I know they can hardcast Endurance here, but that would be a force of will from me. I'm a little worried about this Minskin Boo, though. But if they go land Minsk... Okay, so Minskin Boo is online for next turn and will be uncounterable. That does fudge up my plans quite a bit. I think I'm going to force this Halfling. Pitching. Brainstorm. If they Endurance me now, it'll cost them the Minskin Boo. And then they'd have to rip a land to get Minskin Boo involved. Oh, yeah. Now I don't care. Alright. Big ol' Murktide. And I'm going to snuff out this Ignoble Hierarch immediately. I don't want to play against any of the things that they're representing with their mana. Okay, don't Pyroblast. Yeah, the Murktide's big enough that even if they go like Ancient Tomb Minskin Boo here, Boo can't attack. But if I had snuffed the Dryad Arbor, I could Petty Theft the Ignoble Hierarch this turn. Oh, maybe that was a bleed. I'm going to Ponder. My next land shows Brazen Borrower this turn, and Barrowglyph next turn. Okay, Force of Will is probably better. So I have Force of Will in my hand now. I'm drawing Swamp, which can cast Barrowglyph next turn. Well, yeah, they're going upstairs. Finding the lines. They're going to have to deal these last 10 points to me. That's the only way they're going to win. I drew Taiga. Now Endurance is live. If they Endurance me, my Murktide becomes 9/9. They could Endurance just to chump for a turn. Magus of the Moon, fascinating. Okay, am I dead to Minskin Boo? No. All right, well, wait, no, hold on. I just telegraphed that I have Force, but I know I'm drawing Basic Swamp, so this is actually completely fine. And I just telegraphed the Force, but it's fine. Bonk, bonk. Okay. Almost messed that one up. What do I know about casting Ponder anyway? The card is very hard. Okay, this also takes them miles away from Endurance. They also can't even cast this Minskin Boo unless they find a basic forest somehow, or like Chromox. I wonder if this is an Orcish Lumberjack deck. What are we doing here? Is this like Nick Fit that never drew a Veteran Explorer? I don't think Gruul Magic cards is really a deck I would explore, so there's got to be some bigger plan that we just didn't see come together. One of the incredible strengths of Reanimator is, although there does appear to be a kind of stable back and forth metagame among the top 3 or 4 decks of Legacy, once you leave that, Reanimator shit clowns everything. There's just not a single thing in the dregs. Like if you go into like tier 2, tier 3, or just full brews like this, where people are trying something interesting, no chance of ever beating Reanimator. Okay, opponent is dead on board. Their Magus means even their own Endurance doesn't work here. We got the GGs. Yep. Sorry, opponent, for being this guy today, but that's the job. Sometimes I'm doing this, sometimes I'm doing what you're doing. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3, and I just realized when I was chopping up last round that I said it was round 1. So everyone who pointed out that I played round 1 twice, you got me. I'm going to keep this on the strength of trusty old Ponder. Opponent's on a mull to 6. And Ponder, I'm looking for a land or a Reanimate. Either one I'd be happy with. And I found the land. I don't need 2 dazes in my hand. Not right away. Do I want this Undercity Sewer? Alright, I'm gonna stack Sewer down 1 and draw the Underground Sea. I can't daze twice, so there's no reason to put that daze in my hand. Not yet. Next turn I can. And next turn I can play Tamiyo, hold up Entomb, double daze. Opponent mulligan to 6. They're also a polluted Delta strategy. Hey, this is the same thing I did, except you had a fetch land and I didn't. And I have the Beta Underground Sea art, and you have that one, making me more powerful. Opponent did not shuffle their Ponder. I will develop the Mighty Tamiyo. Another Ponder. I don't think I'm flinging dazes around at these things. Underground Sea. I'm going to fire this Entomb in the end step. I don't actually want to draw Undercity Sewer. And if they spend energy interacting with this, I think that's okay. This is a little risky, because if this is the mirror match, I might have just gave them something to do. Oh, that's actually really messy, and I feel bad about it. I should not have done that. Okay, tracks it to the graveyard. Another Entomb. Yeah, I might have blown it really hard here, actually. This is one of those things that if I had played Reanimator for like 1 game before recording this league, I simply would not have done this thing I just did. I had Tamiyo advantage. I knew I was hitting my next land drop. There was no reason to make that move. Brainstorm. Okay, anything they do makes my dazes better. Like if they had just gone land Reanimate, I would have been completely cold. And I'm still probably in trouble here. But if this is Doomsday or something else, okay, I'm being thought seized. Yeah, you can have it. Thought seizes 2 of the important card, and then some other cards that aren't as important. They'll probably take Murktide here, unless they're going to Doomsday me out right now. Or Reanimate with Force backup. They took one of the dazes. I feel fortunate to have gotten out of this turn. And I drew a Thoughtseize. Alright, now I get to know what's going on over there. Are you Doomsday? Did I throw this game in the trash? Against Reanimate? Whatever, let's find out. Brainstorm in response. This looks like a tasty spot to daze, because I'm about to miss a land drop anyway. That daze is card advantage. Daze is occasionally card advantage. which is one of the weird things about the card days. Spoils the Vault. Okay, so we're definitely Doomsday, and their hand is pretty bad. I'm going to take the spoils because that guarantees a Doomsday. And I will attack with Tamiyo. And then I'm going to Brainstorm, flipping Tamiyo. Pretty bad, actually. I'll put back 2 cards, plus, and pass. Yeah, the high roll of Reanimate there versus just playing the Murktide, or finding a Force of Will versus their terrible hand. I might actually lose to Doomsday off the top here. Okay, with the Wraith spent, that's less likely to happen. But if they had Doomsday Wraith with a mana still up and a fetch lane available, I might have actually lost the game there. Sewer, Underground Sea. Do I want more of those? It does crack my clue. All right, I will put that on top. Buy back Thoughtseize or buy back Ponder, looking for anything. All right, I'm going to Ponder. Ponder, Animate Dead. I could send the Animate Dead. They've drawn 2 cards at random. Daze would be kind of annoying. Force of Will would mean their hand is Lotus Petal. I think they would have played out Lotus Petal if they had that. Okay. Animate Dead to my hand. Animate Atraxa. Hope you don't have exactly Daze. Cool. Okay, we're playing against Doomsday. I've been losing to Doomsday a lot lately on the channel because I've been playing decks that are fun and interesting. But here we are with another blue-black combo deck that has more gears to pull and is easier to pilot. Bringing these consigns in, and probably not going to do much else. Brazen Borrower is not that important. If they have a creature juke, Archon of Cruelty beats that anyway. Maxtortion's sideboard guide has an extra discard spell in the sideboard that I would have liked to have access to, but this list just doesn't have it, and we're going to live with that. Okay, pretty light changes regardless. When you have 6 forces in the main deck, there's probably not a lot of sideboarding to do against combo decks. Okay, this hand is not proactive, but it's extremely stable versus Doomsday. A Swamp. A Thoughtseize. Okay. Do they want the Force, the Consign? I don't think they'll beat up my cantrips because I have so many of them. It would be kind of weird to just take Ponder out of this hand. Yeah, Force of Will makes sense. Reanimate. Now I could Ponder into Entomb and flip this game on its head. Hey, there's Entomb. Well, that's the thing I said. Okay. I have Tamiyo on top of my deck, Entomb Reanimate in my hand. My opponent is also a counterspell deck. They could have boarded in some Graveyard Hate. They just saw my hand that didn't have Entomb or Reanimate in it, but now suddenly I have both. Did not shuffle their Ponder. I could take a turn off to Sculpt here, or like make sure I don't die, or at least play around Daze. I think I'm going to at least play around Daze. I'm holding up Consign if they go for a jam here. End step Entomb. Daze. Pay. Okay, so I got 2 cards out of their hand by being patient there. And now I'm untapping into immediately flipping Tamiyo, which does the double duty of also putting Entomb back in my hand. Going this hard does turn off the Consign that they know about, but here's me with a Thoughtseize and a Force anyway. I'm going to put Consign and Reanimate on top, or Wasteland Reanimate. Do I care about Wasteland? They're probably going to fetch an Undercity Sewer this turn. All right, I'm going to put Wasteland Reanimate on top. So this puts a Thoughtseize on the stack and Entomb Reanimate functionally available to me. A fetch. Are we getting the 3rd Daze? Undercity Sewer. That's the thing I said. Kept a card on top. Spoils Edge. Oh, I'll take Spoils. All right, what do we got here? A Ponder. I could just force this and guarantee Atraxa. This is not a guarantee because they could cycle Edge, but I'm doing it. Force pitching Brainstorm. I know their hand sucks. I have them. I'm about to Reanimate Atraxa, reload, and I can do all that with Consign still up. Underground Seas. They would have to Edge of Autumn randomly into Surgical Extraction or Blusterstorm, that sort of thing. Entomb, Atraxa, Reanimate Atraxa. Okay, they're floating a black, cycling Edge of Autumn. That's an activated ability, not a triggered one. I could not counter that with Consign, even if I wanted to. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I mean, Thoughtseize, Daze, not close to good enough. On to the next round. This deck's really good. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. On the play in round 4, this hand's really interesting. I'm interacting on turn 1. My lands are good. I have A, but it's the bad A, but it's the A that pops off with 5 Bs in the deck, plus all the cantrips. I'm going to try this. Obviously, I wish any one of these lands was any spell in my deck at random, but I'm gonna game like this. Swamp Thoughtseize. Lead on the basic. Maybe I'm Lone Pox. Anything could happen here. We're playing against lands. That's not ideal, but I am going to snag this crop rotation before it Bajuka bogs me. Yeah, lands is a tough matchup for any graveyard deck. Always has been. Taiga, Exploration, Ancient Tomb, Expedition Map with the mana floating. Alright, deck, Reanimate off the top. Pretty close. I'm going to play Misty Rainforest and pass the turn. That one turn wait actually does matter a lot. Animate Dead being targetable by Boseiju matters, at least a little bit. We'll see what this Rumble comes up with and what they use their Expedition Map on. Here comes Rumble. There's a Tabernacle. They did hit Boseiju. Are they going to be able to hold up the mana for it? Are they going to value that? They took Urza's Saga. Not surprising. Yeah, we're going to map here with the floating mana. You could do that with your spawn anyway, I suppose. Would I rather have Archon or Atraxa in play briefly because they have Loam plus Boseiju that can blow out the Animate Dead? Archon disrupts them more, but dies easier. Yeah, I think I have to get Atraxa here. They could also map for Caracas and then just play it. Maze of Ith from hand. Okay. I am going to Entomb in the end step. I think it has to be Atraxa, even though I don't actually believe in either of them. Yeah, I think Atraxa is more likely to find a second round, which is what I need to do here. Undercity Sewer, Looted Delta to the graveyard. Hey, Reanimate. Okay, that plays around one of my problems. Reanimate the Atraxa. We're in. There is a Wasteland among the lands. That's definitely the one I'm taking. Murktide versus Tamiyo. It's definitely Murktide. And then Thoughtseize and Force of Will are on the house. Done. I don't need to Wasteland until next turn because I'm not attacking yet. I'm going to get this Murktide involved. I'm not worried about basic lands. Okay. I have a 6/6 and a 7/7 in play. I can blow up the Maze of Ith, and I managed to dodge the Boseiju being an issue. They do get a tutor here. Could find another Maze of Ith and start to turtle up. Caracas, yep. That one was always there. Thoughtseize Animate Dead myself. After they bounce Atraxa. They dredged Loam. Thespian Stages, milled over. There's a Tabernacle in the hand. The Tabernacle is kind of funny because I just won't pay for Atraxa. If they go Caracas Tabernacle pass here. Loam targeting Tabernacle, Boseiju, Thespian Stage. Okay. Thespian Stage, Caracas. They have Tabernacle and Boseiju in hand. Making a construct with their extra floating mana there. Okay. Can we draw a sweet one? Ponder. How much mana do I need this turn? Thoughtseize, Wasteland you, Thoughtseize, Reanimate Dead is all 4 mana, so I have to Wasteland first. Take out this Maze. The Force I can force their Life from the Loam with. So they can't get back Maze of Ith, at least for one turn. Caracas is in my hand. 6 damage coming through. Thoughtseize does reveal my hand, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I can animate dead. I can't reanimate. Am I dead on the backswing? I'll be at 7 when this resolves. They can attack me for probably 3. Oh, if they have a Lava Spur Boots, I might actually just die. 3, 4, 7. Oh no. Well, I don't think this game's going any other way. Traxa is Baxa. A Murktide. Force of Will. Would I rather have Brainstorm? Doesn't matter. Brainstorm. Land. Reanimate. I don't feel good about my spot. It's going to come down to whether or not they have Lava Spur Boots in their deck. Discard Polluted Delta. Opponent's at 8. 2, 3. +1 is 4. Yeah, Lava Spur Boots is exactly lethal here. They made the guy. Hell yeah. GG's. Okay. So this game was lost because I had Animate dead in my hand and not Reanimate. I drew Reanimate, but by that time I had already made the decision to get Atraxa and not Archon. Like if Caracas just doesn't answer Archon, then the game ends. So that was a super tight one. Right, Dauthi Voidwalker pretty good. They are they are a graveyard deck. Consign to Memory does stuff as well. Daze pretty bad. Murktide actually pretty bad against those mazes of Iths. I don't know if I have room for all of these cards to come in unless I want to start cutting Tamios. Not convinced I want to do that. Could cut 1 Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize matters most on turn 1. Right, I think I'm going to go 3 Voidwalkers because that's what I can make room for. Okay, I'm going to keep Basic Island, cast Ponder to get this party started, but this is a hand full of a lot of air in a matchup I would really like turn 1 to be disgusting against. Yeah, game 1, it wasn't just that I had Animate Dead in my hand, it's that I had Animate Dead in my hand and their Malevolent Rumble hit Life from the Loam plus Beseiju. If one of those 2 cards isn't there, I still probably just go for Archon. Yeah, that was so tight. The opponent has 61 cards in their deck after board and mulled to 6. Basic Island, Ponder. Thoughtseize, Sewer, Underground Sea. All right, this is my next few lands lined up, and Thoughtseizing them doesn't seem like the worst. You'd rather Thoughtseize on turn 1, of course, when the explorations and those sort of things. The Mox Diamonds haven't been deployed yet. Discarding Horizon Canopy and Rumble. They hit 4 lands, including Dark Depths when Thespian Stage is already in play. I have 3 Brazen Borrowers and an Archon of Cruelty in my deck. That could help this situation. Yeah, this is just a turn 2 Depths. I could have forced the Rumble, but I think holding that for crop rotation is going to work out more often than not when I'm trying to do something here. I also now don't think I have time to Thoughtseize them. Oh, they took Otawara over Depths. What does that mean? I think I'm going to Ponder first and see if I can find an Entomb and get something going. Okay, Brazen Borrower means I'm not worried about Dark Depths anymore. I'll take the time to Thoughtseize. Disruptor Flute, Grafdigger's Cage. And they had Dark Depths anyway, okay. Well, I will take Disruptor Flute. They have Cage, Otawara, Depths. Makes sense why they didn't take Depths. I think my plan here is Force of Will, Grafdigger's Cage if they play it, and I just have Borrower for Merit Lage if they go for that. I'm going to Ponder. I still have the mana to Petty Theft. I'm looking for that Entomb to bring all this together. They do have to think about Wasteland here as well. Like, they might just make the Merit Lage now, because if I find Wasteland, then they can't make it. Voidwalker. That gives me a way to win the game that ignores Grafdigger's Cage. You should never concede here, by the way, even if you don't have the Brazen Borrower, because they have to think about whether you have Brazen Borrower or Sheoldred's Edict or any card you could have. And I hope they go for it. If they go for it, they're going to be untapping with Mox Diamond as their only permanent. Oh, wow. They drew Disruptor Flute. That's fucked up. All right, I will fetch a Swamp in response. And they might name Petty Theft here. That'd be pretty heads up. They could also name Wasteland. But Thoughtseize Bug. That is literally the card I just took from their hand. The one unknown was the one I just Thoughtseized. All right, yep, they did name Petty Theft. Smart. That doesn't matter if I draw a land, because it makes it cost... Oh, it's 3 more. Nope, I'm fucked. I'm insanely fucked. Was I supposed to force that flute? Maybe I was. Grafdigger's Cage. I could force pitching Brazen Borrower, or I could brainstorm and see how things look. I'm gonna brainstorm. Okay. A bunch of Voidwalkers. Well, I'm gonna lose to this drawn Disruptor Flute anyway. I'll put back these Voidwalkers, and I can block with Brazen Borrower for a turn. So I'm not without any action here. I guess I force pitching force and just try to find a way to get another turn, even though I don't think it's going to happen. And now they should main phase this because they're not worried about anything. Okay, they're giving me a hit to find Wasteland. All right. I would rather spike Wasteland here since I've been given the opportunity. They could activate in response, put back Sewer, Voidwalker, play Delta, pass. Or they have Otawara. Do they have enough mana to use it? 1, 2. All right, you get your 20/20, maybe. If they play Scared here, that's great. If they draw a mana, they can Otawara my Brazen Borrower, and then I can't even chump block. So Otawara costs 3. Oh, okay, name black, name black, name black. Protection from blue. All right. Well, okay. So obviously this is within the range of the deck. I am not salty, but I did Thoughtseize them taking Disruptor Flute. They drew Disruptor Flute that turn. And then I have a way to buy myself a couple turns here. Borrower, chump block, animate borrower, chump block, try to figure this out. Or like hit a land and they just gave it Pro Blue. So a good series of draws, but also a matchup that is difficult. GG's, on to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. In that last round, I was thinking about it. I'm definitely just supposed to force the Disruptor Flute. I gave my opponent the opportunity to name the wrong card, but what card would you name there other than Petty Theft? It just doesn't make sense. And that's such a checkmate versus where I am in the game. Okay. Entomb, Thoughtseize, Force Ponder. I'll keep. I'm on the draw for the final round. Positive record on the line. Mountain. Who plays mountains in this economy? I will follow up with a Swamp and Thoughtseize you. Okay, Agatha's Soul Cauldron is definitely the card I'm taking. They've got Phyrexian Devourer, Pyroblast, and Urza's Saga among the non-spell cards. Soul Cauldron, awesome in this metagame. It both does cool things with your deck, and it's just a Ghost Vacuum. Besides, just main deck Ghost Vacuum. Saga. Goblin Engineer. Well, don't want to play against that card, and I know you're holding Pyroblast, so smoke them all, you got them. All right, Reanimate off the top. Easy game. What a stupid fucking deck. Jesus. Okay. Fetch. I will get Archon here because I know that they have Pyroblast in their hand. Bang. I haven't won the game yet, I don't think, but I am really far ahead. They discarded the Devourer, which puts a combo piece in their graveyard. I can reanimate their Devourer if I want to. So if they just like land go here, I can attack. They take 9. I go to 13. They tap Ancient Tomb. They're at 7. Yeah, if they can thread the needle here on a combo, I could be in some trouble. I could see it. I'm going to attack first because there is a draw involved in this attack. And if they discard the Pyroblast, that gives me more options. I discarded a mountain that I didn't know about. Okay, I'm going to go for a Ponder and see if that's worth Pyroblast to them. Feels like it should be. Yes, indeed. There's Pyroblast. Fetch. Island. Ponder again. Entomb, Reanimate. Another one of those. I don't have the mana for it. I could reanimate their Engineer just so I have a blocker. I could reanimate their Devourer so they can't go off. I'm most worried about being burned out here, I guess. Like if Painter's Servant is in their hand, they actually win. Or it can't be. Their hand is Great Furnace. If they top deck Painter's Servant, they win. And Nothing I'm doing plays around that. All right, I am going to shuffle. Okay, cool. I was looking for a counterspell. I didn't find the one I wanted, but I did find one. I think I want to reanimate Goblin Engineer. I don't really care about Devourer. I don't think they have a route to do that, and I would like to just block. And I'll put an artifact from my deck into the graveyard. I don't have one of those. Pass the turn. I have a blocker now. You're at 6. Ancient Tomb again puts you to 4. Dead on board anyway, so might as well swing for whatever fences you got here. The Daze actually does save me from Grindstone, because that is a 5-mana play. Tutor the Grindstone, play the Painter, activate the Grindstone. And Daze makes it a 6-mana play. They would have to string together some kind of miracle here. They float a mana, Tutor, Lava Spur Boots, Goblin Welder. Does that do anything? It gets Agatha's Soul Cauldron into play. And they can make an infinitely large creature. And Daze doesn't help here. So, okay. If whatever is going to happen happens, they can have an infinitely large construct token, but I made the blocker, which was the point of the exercise. Yeah, they're hoping I don't know about this, but I do, so I'll block. If I didn't block, I would have taken infinite damage, because that would have, well, not infinite, but damage equal to the mana value of their deck. Okay, cool. Pretty cool sequence. Nice showdown. They drew a card that gave me an out to mess up. I think I want Snuff Out, Dismember, Consign to Memory, Engineered Explosives. Force of Negation pretty bad. Force of Will pretty bad against this deck too. So is Daze. There's a lot of bad cards against this deck. Force could punch a hole if I come at them really quickly. I could also just cut all of this blue stuff and bring in interactive cards and Barrogoyfs. They are a graveyard deck where Voidwalker has text, but Barrogoyf is just so good against cards like Blood Moon, which they might also have. I don't want a full juke here. I could turn some Murktides into Voidwalkers just to get away from blue threats. Fatal Push does hit the things in their deck too. Uh-oh, there's a lot of good cards here. Okay, so Murktide Regent. I'm worried I'm getting a little too thin on action, but I am bringing in a lot of action too. I could cut 1 Entomb. This deck might have a lot of graveyard hate in it. We know it has the Soul Cauldron. Okay, I am gonna do this large plan while I'm on the draw, and then if there's game 3 or I'm on the play, I might just send it into their head again. Okay, a hand with access to basic lands and Wasteland. Oh, am I getting mooned on turn 1? My hand's not very good against that. Okay, Fable. Fable's not great for me either, but it's not Blood Moon. Thoughtseize, right on time. Okay, we love being on the draw. I'm going to save this Wasteland for an Urza Saga, and I am going to Thoughtseize them, even though their hand's about to change dramatically. Fury and Painter. Well, I don't want you to have Painter, ever. Let's get rid of that. They're 1 mana away from casting Fury this turn. They discarded Fury and Great Furnace. There's the Mountain. They're up to 4 mana. And is completely new cards at this point. And passing with mana up. I'm going to fetch for an island and pass the turn. I think I'm going to Petty Theft this Goblin Shaman in the upkeep. This is just one less look at Pyroblast, even though I know they have a lot of them. Sure. Okay. Fable flips. Could be a problem in the future. 2 cards left in hand. Lots of mana. Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. Well, I have 2 more Petty Thefts for that. Thoughtseize. Do I care? I'm going to brainstorm and figure out if I care. All right, this Wasteland, not currently very good, but could be good in the near future. All right, I'm going to get rid of Wasteland and one of the Ponders. Then I'm going to Thoughtseize my opponent's last card. Hope it's actually a card. If this is actually a card, like any card that I can put in the graveyard, okay, a Braid, that means they can't do Goblin stuff next turn. And you want to hear a really messed up story? Tamio is 0 power and can attack through Ensnaring Bridge all the time, no matter how many cards are in my opponent's hand. Painter, okay. Well, that's a scary one. Scary place to start. Entomb. That's like Entomb Reanimate, except the opposite and not helpful instead of awesome. Okay, I'm dead to Grindstone off the top at any point where that might happen. I'm going to start with a Ponder. If I find Reanimate, I can just start doing stuff. Fatal Push. I like that. Okay, Voidwalker, Push, Ponder. I'm not going to shuffle because this second Ponder still puts Push in my hand while flipping Tamiyo. Right, no shuffle, flip, plus, and pass. I suspect they're going to copy something in the end step. Okay, they just didn't play into Painter, or didn't play into Fatal Push on Painter. Right, there's the Saga I've been trying to play around. Right, I'm going to push Painter right now. I just don't want that card in play, especially knowing that Grindstone's coming in a couple turns. A draw for turn. It's that Dismember. Tamiyo can minus freely here. I think I want to grab a Ponder, or I think Brainstorm's better. I get Brainstorm because I have the Entomb. That's a guaranteed flip, or shuffle, whatever the word is I'm looking for. Archon, Entomb. Okay, Entomb and Archon go back into the deck. Underground Sea, Dothy Voidwalker. I can dismember a Fable of the Mirror Breaker into the Void, which could loot away Archon. I don't think that's how I'm going to play this game, but that is the thing I can do. At the moment, they're stuck under their own bridge. It's hurting them more than it's hurting me. And I'm kind of into that. Okay, next turn, all right, I am going to Entomb for Archon here. I'm just going to try to high roll a hit. Barrowgoyf, I mean, that's a hit, kind of. There is nothing in the Void, no land I can make. All right, I'm going to plus Tamiyo and play Barrowgoyf. We missed on the Archon, just going to have to live with that. Barrowgoyf, pretty big hitter, though. And I'll get Nurza Saga into the Void, if that's something I can use. Their constructs are huge, if they can ever find like a Goblin Welder or something to flip their bridge out of play. Abrade their own bridge. I expect Soul Guide Lantern to come out of this Urza Saga, because I have an Archon just sitting there. They decided not to make a construct, figuring the bridge is there, and what good is a pile of constructs? Grindstone. Oh, did we draw Painter? Did we have a Painter the whole time? Are we just slow grinding me? Goblin Engineer. Okay, that doesn't have haste. The token does, though. All right, so if they go for Reflection, copy, Goblin Engineer, I can dismember the original Goblin Engineer in response, and then this line doesn't work. This is a pretty sweet line, though. They can also just play it slow and not lose to anything. Pyroblasting Tamiyo. Sad. Okay, Tamiyo's dead. They have 4 mana, which is this enough to do what they want to do? I am in trouble here. They have just enough pieces. It costs 1 to copy Goblin Engineer, 1 to flip something into play. They'd need another mana somewhere. Okay, I'm going to dismember Goblin Engineer now. I hope I've counted this correctly. By my count, they're 1 mana short of killing me right now. And that gives me 1 turn to try to figure out what I'm going to do about it. They put a Lotus Petal into the Void. I flip Construct into Painter with 2 mana left over. They should not name blue here, because I can Pyroblast their Painter. All right, named black. It plays around Snuff Out, which is a card in my deck. Oh, baby. That was it. That was the draw. Oh, there's another Painter in the graveyard, but this is going to go away. That's a token. All right. Petty Theft, Painter Servant. And then Thoughtseize it. I live to play on at 3 life. This Goblin Engineer will go away. Okay. I still don't like my spot. I'm down to 1 Brazen Borrower. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. That, I don't think, kills me. Yeah, luckily their Goblin Engineer is also in the Void, so they can't give their other stuff those abilities. Reanimate doesn't work anymore, but it didn't work anyway. Ooh, well, that's the card. I'll draw a card with my Clue token. This is a multi-step process, because they can just replay the Ensnaring Bridge at some point. Reanimate's completely useless. Tamiyo's still good. Tamiyo's always good. Okay, pass the turn. 14's a lot of life, and they can make a Goblin Gem and a chump block with. Exiling my Archon makes sense. Why even bother with it? Saga, hate that. Alright, well, Tamiyo, do your thing. Second main, fetch a Surveil land. Ponder on top. Let's get this Tamiyo flipping. Yeah, looks like they're going to grind me in response. That's fair enough. They'll Ponder and Barrowgoyf. I drew Entomb off of that. Exiling Tameo. This puts another +1 counter on stuff. There are only 2 colors of mana in my deck. Goblin Engineer. Okay. Well, they can do the copy trick here, assuming nothing. There doesn't even need to be a Painter left in their deck. There's one in their graveyard from earlier. Great Furnace in the Void. Making a Construct. All right, I need a Fatal Push now. Or multiple Fatal Pushes even. I think I'm going to Entomb just to get a card that's not helpful out of my deck. I could Entomb the last Entomb. Yeah, I'm just Entombing Entomb. Thoughtseize might actually even be worse than Entomb. Oh, that's not true, because Bouncing Ensnaring Bridge is what I'm trying to do. All right. I have not solved my problem here. That Ensnaring Bridge hurt them more than me for a long time, but now definitely doing the work against me. All right, we're looking for Fatal Push right now. Barrowgoyf. Nothing in the sideboard helps here. All right, I'll pass the turn and see if they mess up with Painter. Like if they name blue, I could use Voidwalker. I guess I could bounce Painter in response to getting grinded. Then I'm actually completely out of answers to Ensnaring Bridge, though. I hope they have a Pyrite Spellbomb and just can deal 2 to me somehow. Okay, still got Lanterns here. Exile, Dismember. Oh, right, they're just going to copy Painter. Nope, I am dead. Yeah, the Reflection can do whatever it wants. And I don't have any counterplay to this. They didn't name anything that would mess them up. All right, cool. All right, now it's my turn to be on the play. And Force of Will still seems so shitty. But so did everything else that I did that game. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go on the play here and try to get it done. Same deck. Same plan. Show me the nuts. This is not the nuts. Turn 1 Thoughtseize isn't bad, though. I will keep. Yeah, Painter is a deck of engines, and once they have 1 or 2 engines going, it's really hard to collapse them. Like having the Reflection of Kiki Jiki plus Goblin Engineer going is a really hard thing to navigate, especially if they already have what they want in their graveyard. All right, opponent mauled to 6. Let's make it 5. Fury, Soul Cauldron, Abrade, Red Blast. I'll take the Soul Cauldron. Mountain Pass. Fatal Push. All right, I think they are just gonna Pyroblast whatever I do here. So I will develop Tameo. Let them roast it. I mean, they could also Abrade or Fury this. So like flushing out the Red Blast on curve here doesn't even feel that bad. Ancient Tomb. Don't Blood Moon me, bro. I was not able to fetch Basic Island last turn. Ooh. Nasty. All right, I could win the game right now if I hit Reanimate. Oh, come on. No, you don't. All right, well, they play a lot of those. It's fine. Whatever. Okay, I'm going to put this Marsh Flats in the graveyard. That Brainstorm was going to put Archon in my graveyard, though, with the help of the Surveil. Okay, 1 Unknown in the hand. Please don't be One Ring. Painter Servant. Okay. Well, I can kill that. They push that. And I'm kind of running out of juice here. So are they. That's a basic if I need it. It's also a Surveil land. More likely to Surveil land here. If they draw a land, they might just shove Fury. Oh, that's the one I didn't want. Yeah, Urza Saga, hell of a card. And I just went from close to way the hell behind off of that Urza Saga draw. Come on, deck. Petty Theft. Ugh. This card is like almost good. I'll put it on top. Yeah, that second Pyroblast for the Brainstorm messed up all of my development. I don't have Archon of Cruelty in the graveyard right now. That was basically like 3 Time Walks and a Thoughtseize. Fuck off. Okay, well, never-ending parade of these, apparently. I will dismember that, though. And I am not going to F around and find out if they're going to draw another interaction spell. Okay. This will at least flush out the Abrade, but it'll cost them a construct if they do it on curve. Okay, there's a construct. Ooh, okay, they pass priority, which means the Saga will be in the void before, like, they haven't abraded me yet. Soul Guide Lantern is here. Exiling Thoughtseize from my graveyard. Lotus Petal makes the squad bigger. Gotta do what we gotta do here. I cannot really start taking chunks of 5 damage. A Braid does go to the Void if they kill my Voidwalker. Not that that helps me if Voidwalker's dead. Wasteland. I could just put Saga into play instead of trying to race their constructs. That sounds like a huge mistake. I attack with Voidwalker. We'll see if this is worth an Abrade to them. It is indeed. Okay. And I am actually going to Wasteland the Great Furnace. That makes the construct smaller and makes Fury less likely. I could have gone after Ancient Tomb, but we're in a damage race if they're tapping Tomb over there. Yeah, that one's good. Okay, so they can Fury next turn. This game feels pretty out of reach. I need Engineered Explosives would be pretty good. I'm out of useful things to do. They can just cast Fury next turn. Out of Surveil lands. The Goblin Shaman buffs the construct on attack. And they can loot, make their hand good. Discarded Grindstone. Hand is still Fury. Yeah, I'm going to die to this Fury. Oh, I'm dying to these creatures already, but Fury is not going to help. Okay, they did not cast the Fury. I guess they decided they don't need to, and they're right. Well, that's the best draw in my deck. I'm going to attack for 3, and then blow up all their shit. This kills Lotus Petal, Treasure Token, Goblin Shaman, and Construct. I'm still behind to this Fury, unfortunately. But I am going to do what I can do. They're floating mana in response, might as well. Are they going to draw a card off Soul Guide Lantern? They can win this race by flipping Fable, go to 3, the turn after pitch Fury, copy Fury, attack. Oh, I'm at 1, but my creature's dead. But yeah, cards in hand are the resource they need here to try to do more stuff. The Ancient Tomb still correctly on curve here. Come on, deck. Something useful. Not fucking that. Okay. I think I'm going to be at 1 life with no Brazen Borrower next turn. Yeah, if one of the other 3 cards in their hand is red, they can hit me with Fury right now and kill Brazen Borrower. Tapping Ancient Tomb. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Oh, this is actually lethal. Well done. Well done. Is there a creature in the graveyard? There is. So now they're going to be attacking me for 8 instead of 1. Or instead of leaving me at 1, I'm going to be at 0. I needed to draw a removal spell here instead of nothing. And this Archon just rotting in my hand the entire game. GG's. But it was because they Pyroblasted that Brainstorm so aggressively on turn 2. I think if that Brainstorm resolves and my hand is just 1 more useful card instead of this Archon that's been dead in my hand the entire game, all these games were really close. Okay, so my experience playing this version of Reanimator, I hope for the last time, was not a winning record. However, I completely unceremoniously shit-clowned 2 people without top-tier meta decks. And then I had 3 razor-tight matches where maybe a more skilled Reanimator player would have known where to apply pressure differently and get that last point across. Or maybe I ran a little bad while my opponents ran a little good multiple times in this league. And we can't deny that happened. And even with that happening, I think a different Reanimator player might have found the lines to win those games that I didn't, or prioritize certain things correctly where I didn't. I don't know what Wizards of the Coast is going to do. I hope they do something. This is one of many decks making Legacy less fun to explore. Eternal Weekend attendance was down over 200 people from last year. And the format's actually better than it was last year, because last year it was also Reanimator winning, but it had Psychic Frog in it, and Mystic Forge had Vexing Bauble. That format was way more broken than this one, yet more popular, because I think the fatigue of a year of people being like, do something about Reanimator, and then they haven't done enough, has added up. I really don't like talking about bans. I like talking about how much fun Legacy is, and Legacy is still fun, though I think it could be more fun. And this is Reanimator. Stay tuned for Mystic Forge combo. Stay tuned for standard Vivi Cauldron. I don't know if I'm going to fit a Nadu deck into my my goodbye lap here, but that's a card that I'm probably had enough of as well. I'm going to leave this one here. Brendan, thanks for the opportunity to do this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.